All right, from the studio in Fairfax City, we are very grateful that Mark Korven accepted the invitation to our show. Mark, welcome to my humble podcast.
Great to be here.
Mark, let's go back to the beginning of your life. Were you born like in a musical family at all? How old were you when you perhaps began, I don't know, your parents putting pressure on you, hey, you need to learn an instrument, take guitar, take piano, or something like that?
Oh no, nothing like that. My mother. I'm from the prairies in Saskatchewan. That's where I was born, and my mother sang a lot around the house. My dad played cornet, but playing music was not really a thing around the house. They got me to play. I took some piano lessons when I was really young, and I got really bored, and I wanted to quit, and which is no problem. So no, it wasn't really a thing until the British invasion in the 60s, like with the Beatles and
Yeah.
things like that. That's what really lit my fire. So I came at it really on my own as far as wanting to be a rock and roller.
Gotcha. Were you in any bands in high school?
In high school, yeah, had a high
Yeah.
school band, like a basement band sort of
Yeah.
thing. Playing a lot of more like heavier stuff, like Jimi Hendrix and Deep Purple
Yeah.
yeah.
All the good stuff, man. And of course, eventually, I think you began at the time. I read in your background that you were mostly playing the guitar and singing local bars. And then I think in 1977 you enrolled in a community college where you study jazz and orchestration. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What memory do you have from that period?
Oh well, it was a 2-year program that I was in, but they stuffed 10 years into the 2 years, so it was very intensive, and I learned a lot. I didn't realize until I got into film composing how useful all that would turn out to be, because at the time I really didn't have any use for orchestration and things like that, because I wanted to play in a jazz trio, but it really came in handy later.
I got you. And then, of course, after graduation, you develop yourself into a singer, songwriter, and then you end up releasing an album called The Passengers, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. What type of music was that?
Oh, I would call it. It was pop, but leaning towards a progressive sort of thing in a Peter Gabriel sort of mold, I guess. That
Yep.
would be the closest I could think of it.
Yep. And then in 1997, you moved to Toronto, where you recorded an album called Ordinary Man with Duke Street Record, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. And then your first break was into music, into film composing. I think some year later, you end up releasing an album. Well, you composed music for an album called I Have Heard the Mermaids Singing, right? That end up receiving some awards on the Cannes Film Festival, right?
Yeah, that was the first film I ever did. I wrote that basically on a 4-track cassette player
Yeah.
with a Korg synthesizer, because I was like flat broke, and I didn't have any money for instruments or anything like that. But yeah, it turned out to be it was a very small film that was actually quite a big hit, which surprised the heck out of me. So that was my introduction into film composing.
And then that was the first one. You knew back then that you wanted to follow that path,
Um,
or you arrive as an accident, kind of trial and error
yeah,
type of thing?
no, I think so, because my career up to that point was being in front of the camera, really. And once I started working in film, I realized I was much more comfortable behind the camera, working behind the scenes in music. That suited my more introverted personality, because if you're on stage, you really need that extroverted personality, I think, and I really didn't have that. So yeah, it was a good, comfortable career path for me to follow.
Gotcha. And I was reading part of background. You play several exotic, so to speak, instrument. such as the sarangi, nickel harpa, the dudek, the erdu, and the waterphone, right? You learn like everything on your own. You needed a need as you began progressing your career as a field composer. You needed a more exotic instrument to accomplish what you wanted to do.
Yeah,
That
that was
what to say?
actually more by necessity because um, through the 90s, I was doing a lot of documentaries, and there were a lot of documentaries that were set in foreign countries, as particularly Africa. Um, and I wound up just, collecting a lot of instruments that would help me develop the score. And I really like to. I'm the kind of person who can sort of pick up an instrument and I can just start. I can figure it out fairly quickly and start improvising on it. I've always loved to do that. So yeah. So now I have a room full of instruments from all over the world.
Yeah, I can see to your right, and of
Yeah.
course you're very well. Feel free to elaborate on the co-creation of the apprehension engine, the custom-made instrument that was built by your friend Tony to get Dagen Smith. And I saw a couple of videos. It's unbelievable, man, to do. You knew back then, or you call Tony and say, "Man, I'm going to be working in some, I don't know, horror movies, and I need kind of weird stuff and weird sound that I cannot accomplish with a keyboard or whatever, a piano or the instrument I have." You gave him kind of direction, or he went his own way and came back a month later. What do you think about this?
No, what happened was I was asked to do an interview in front of a crowd at the Toronto International Film Festival,
Yeah.
and I'm not really that comfortable doing an interview in front of a crowd without something to show. So it was 2 weeks away, and so I phoned up my friend Tony and I said, I have this rough idea for an instrument. Can you build this for me? And so he built it, and we collaborated on it and developed it over the 2 weeks. And I got it that morning, and I went out in front of the crowd and I demonstrated it for the audience. So it was a pretty crazy thing. But over the next few years, I sort of developed uh, um, the expression of the instrument, and I started plugging it into various processing pedals and develop the sound into sort of what it is today.
Yep. Thank you very much. And I saw several videos that were uploaded to YouTube where you show the instrument and you played the instrument, and some of them has 10 million views or 8 billion views, whatever the number. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because we built this instrument, and I played it at or sort of demonstrated it at
Yeah.
TIFF, and then I made a little video. I put it up on YouTube. No one was interested, and I just forgot about it. And 6 months later, I came across this site on Facebook. It was a rare instruments page. So I thought, oh, what the heck? I'll just put the video up on there, and then the thing went viral. It went crazy. So there's always that niche, that small niche of people that are into these weird things. So yeah, it became a very popular sort of thing that wound up going around the world, and I actually toured in various places
Correct.
performing it. So it was a crazy time.
Yeah, got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was unbelievable. I have seen them. Like you think you have 3 or 4. I have seen like 7 times or so. In general term, what do you think is the role of music in a particular film?
I would say it's to express the things that cannot be expressed through dialogue or story or sound. So that's where I came in. Mostly, I would say it's about subtext primarily, to help point out the things that are going on behind the dialogue to express that.
And then when somebody hire you, to write, if I were to hire you for science fiction movie or so, what's the time frame that is allocated for you to, write a piece of music that I have on my head for my hypothetical example, science fiction movie? What's the time? Because you're working several projects at the same time, I imagine, right?
Yeah, quite often there could
Yeah.
be two things going on at once. Yeah.
And then, do the time given to you to write a piece of music is enough, or I mean, how long does it take for you to go, end to end, writing a 30-minute, I don't know, or 45-minute music for a particular film that is going to be released, I don't know, in a couple months or something like that?
Oh, it's really hard to say, Claudio, because schedules have gotten so crazy
Yeah.
over the last few years. Sometimes I can be working a year and a half on a score, and sometimes it's very very quickly, and more often than not, just because of digital editing, digital video editing, people continue to edit the picture like forever. So it's really hard for a composer to wind up with completed picture, which is the old method. You wind up with that locked picture that won't change, and you score to that. But that doesn't seem to exist anymore, because people just want to keep editing. And then if it's a TV show, let's say the broadcaster will jump in and at the last second will request some changes. So then you have to change the music, and yeah, it's a crazy, it's like the Wild West right now.
It's a nightmare, right? Because you have some plan from the weekend and the director call you 11 p.m. Man, I need this stuff right tomorrow,
Oh
midnight
yeah,
or something.
yeah. I was working on a film once where they were mixing the film, and I was getting calls to make music changes while they were mixing, which is just a crazy way to work.
Wow. And in general, excuse me, in general, when you write music that is not used in the particular film or commercial or whatever, the music belongs to you or belongs to the studio, the whoever pay you. Can you recycle the music if it wasn't used, or it belongs to them?
Oh, that's actually a very good question, Claudio, and that can be a bit of a bone of contention, because I mean, from my point of view as composer, if they don't use it, I would like to use it elsewhere. If it's a nice piece of music that got rejected, but sometimes in the contract they say as soon as you start writing for us, we own it all, whether we use it or not. That's actually typically the case.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you probably be able to get away with it because sometimes they just want that in the contract, and they really don't care what you do with the music. But it can be risky if contractually they own the copyright to that unused
Yeah.
piece of music. I would like to
Yeah.
see that change. I would like to, if you're not using this music, I want it to stay with me so I can use it elsewhere.
Absolutely. And I have seen many examples rejected score, right? A particular director, hired Johnny, they didn't like the movie Johnny, and then they hired Peter, and then the question began, well, can Johnny, although he was paid for the stuff, and the director said, no, I don't like it. And he could reuse it or recycle or turn it around into new music, right? So into a new movie or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
It's it's
yeah. I
kind
mean,
of
what I do sometimes, if I write like a really nice piece of music, and I just sense that they may not like it, whatever. I don't even show it to them. I just say, "Oh, I'm just
absolutely,
set this
absolutely,
aside and use
yeah,
it somewhere else because I think it's really good, and I think they will likely reject it. So I don't even show it to them."
yeah. I have a lot of, like I told you before, a lot of film scores, and many times what bothers me that, first of all, not every film music that was created film is released, number one, right? I don't know if in the world there are 10,000 movies in the last 20 years. only you will find 7,000, right? It's a lot of, why do you think the reason, if you know, why a particular company or studio, they don't end up releasing the movie? It's not a one-to-one criteria, right? Not every film score is released, right?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to money.
Yeah,
You know, and I've been frustrated sometimes of not being able to find a score a score that was really influential for me was a really early Thomas Newman score for a movie called Men Don't Leave, which was
yeah.
not a popular movie. I loved the movie; it was great. But when I heard Thomas Newman's music for the first time, I was like, "Wow, this is incredible! I've never heard anything like this." And I really wanted to find that score, and I never, it was never released, so I never was able to attain it.
Yeah, very weird. Also, the other way around, I have seen movies that I like it. I don't know, a particular scene, a particular area in a movie that I really like, and I buy the CD or the vinyl, and the music is not there, the particular track that I'm referring to. So somehow there gotta be another person in between after, siding, and then, okay, we want to release the movie, did okay, let's go and release the CD or the vinyl. And then somebody else can decide, well, out of the 12, tracks, so to speak, that we use in the movie, only we want to release and only the first 10, right? And the 11 and the 12 that I was interested in, because I like the piece of music, it was there. And it's very
Yeah,
strange right? It's weird that they don't release everything. And then the same question, what happened with the piece number 11 or 12 in my hypothetical example that
yeah,
I was
exactly.
interested in, and then, you know, that
Yeah,
was,
I mean, for me, usually I choose the tracks.
yeah.
As a composer, they want me to prepare the tracks, and they might change the sequence of them, but usually what I want sort of goes, onto the final product.
Yeah. And then again, not everything is released in vinyl, right? They might do a small batch of, I don't know, 500 CDs and nothing else, right?
Yeah,
And but yeah, it's crazy because many times I go and see a movie. As a matter of fact, I went to see a great movie this weekend. I forgot the name, but I look at the film composer, and the movie's not doing that well in the theater, and I don't know even if they're going to be releasing the movie at all. I mean the soundtracks. It's a great. I forgot the name, but I will remember later
yeah,
on. And because it's a great soundtrack. So at the beginning, it was by choice or by accident that a lot of people that wanted to hire you to write the music for a particular film or documentary, you got, pigeonholed into a kind of science fiction or horror movies. Is that by accident? Is something that you wanted to do, or you prefer, or you are ambivalent to do drama or science fiction movies, if you will, as opposed to hardcore horror movies, that kind of stuff?
oh, it was actually quite by accident because back in 2015 when Rob Eggers was working on the Witch,
Yeah,
I was given the script by my agent, and I thought, this is a really cool, script. I really like it.
mm,
The language is, like early English, and no one's going to be able to understand it. So I thought, there's no way this film is going to do well, but it's got such an interesting vibe to it. I really want to do it. So what happened is I phoned up my agent. I said, the script is really good. How many other composers are up for this? And he said, oh, probably 11 or 12. So I thought, no, I'm not going to do this because I don't like cattle calls.
yeah,
Um, so I told my wife, I said, no, I'm not gonna apply for this. And she said, I get the feeling that you should do it. So I thought, oh, okay, I'll apply for it. So there was a bunch of other composers applying for it, and I figured they're all going to do audio demos. So I don't want to be just another guy doing an audio demo. So what I did is I took some of my weird instruments and I did sort of a visual demo of me demoing the instruments, in particular the Swedish nyckelharpa.
Yeah.
And as soon as Rob Eggers heard the Swedish nyckelharpa, he said, "Oh yeah, no, you're the guy. You're the guy I want to do this." So I got the gig, and the film became it was like a big sort of underground hit. Everyone wrote about this movie, which was great. So then I became the horror guy, sort of quite by accident. Not that I'm not particularly. I wouldn't call myself a horror fan. I'm
Yeah.
just a fan of really good stories,
Absolutely.
and The Witch was a really good story. So
Yeah.
it was all really by fluke. But
Yeah.
because of that, because the film did really well, and because it was a really unique score, I got a lot of work since then. Just because of the success of that film.
Yeah. Good for you, man. Well, an accident, but a great accident, if you will, right? And then you end up actually doing another movie with him, right? The Lighthouse, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is another movie and as well. Um, in general, when you say I end up applying, when the agent will let you know, hey, there are 4 other people on the run from this, or now the director that they know you, they call you director. No, I want Mark to, you know, write the music for my coming film and stuff, or still you need to go through the process of applying and sometimes being rejected and so on.
I would say typically it's a case. It's typically a case where I'm on a short list. They've reached out to 3 composers, and I'm one of the 3.
Yeah.
So it's usually, it's not a cattle call of 10 composers. It's usually like three composers that
Right.
they're looking.
And sometimes you need to, if you're doing 3 projects at the same time, you need to say no, right? Or they can wait.
Yeah.
Okay, I could do it by next month. I couldn't do it January, but
it's hard for me to say no, really, because the reason is the schedules change so radically all the time. So, if I say no to something because I'm working, I have another project coming up, that might get delayed by a few months. So then I'm out of work, So because of the uncertainty in post-production schedules these days, quite often, if something good comes in the door, I'll say, yeah, I'll do it, and I'll work it out.
yeah, try to make a few say, well, I cannot do it next week, but eventually they will call you. No, it's for next month. No, next week. So you can fit in your schedule. And nowadays, at your level, is it still difficult to make a living general term as a film composer? Still, you.
Well, I mean, not for me, because I struggled for many years as a film composer, and I've had a really good run of it, so I'm very comfortable right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a difficult time earning a living. Most composers do.
Yeah.
But I got lucky with this one film that hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, I got it. And you get, in general term, I don't need to know the money you make, but you get like a point, so you get a percentage if the movie, or no, you get a flat fee. Okay, I want to pay you, X number of dollars, whether, it's seen like 1 billion times or 10 times.
Yeah, no, it's a flat rate, as far as my fee is concerned.
Yeah.
But when you've been doing it, composers who have been doing it as long as I have, they've built up quite a catalog, and the royalties over many years start adding up. So eventually you can, like, these days, more than half of the money I earn is from royalties of films and TV shows that I've done over the last 30 years. Right.
But you have like a clause in your contract royalty that if you get you get paid like a flat fee, and the royalties come for how many times a movie or a commercial have been seen, or something like that, or
Yeah, it's how many countries
country,
the
yeah,
film is being distributed in, and how much money it's made in theaters,
right,
how
yeah,
many times it's been streamed or viewed on TV.
yeah.
That will relate to how much money you make from it, royalty wise.
Okay, so you say half your income now, half come from new projects, and then the other 50% come from stuff that I have done, 10 years, 5 years, or whatever it is.
Passive income, as they call it,
Passive income.
which is great. I love
More
passive
stuff.
income.
Well, everybody does. Oh, absolutely. Good, good. Good. You're another one. I was looking, man, I look at, let me show you here. I was looking at the kind of your CV with everything you have done, and man, pages of pages of pages. Good for you, man. I'm happy that that we're talking, because I have seen several of the movies that you have done. I kind of picked the top 5 or 6. I took um, Spotify as a mark, and then just want to mention a couple of them. So, for example, Until Dawn, the original game soundtrack for 2024. What memory do you have for that? And then, is it hard to write music for a film versus a commercial, versus a Netflix series versus a game? In general, the level of effort you get.
Well, I think that was a unique situation where I was hired to do the kind of music that I do with my own style. So it was actually, I was working with good people, and they wanted me just to do what I do. So it was great that way. Although I do prefer to like score scenes. Really, that's I'm more of a movie guy,
Yeah.
so the game thing is not really a good fit for me. I don't think, and plus the timelines are. Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless.
Thanks. Uh-oh.
That's okay.
Well, hopefully you can cut that out.
Yeah, we will. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay. The timelines are pretty crazy. Because I think it was from start to finish for that game, it was probably about 2.5, 3 years, which is not my favorite thing, because I like to, if I'm working on a feature film, ideally I'd like to be finished like in 3 or 4 months. But 2 or 3 years, that's a kind of a chunk out of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you go back and forth with the director, or the song editor. When you write something, you send to them, hey, I like this, but I don't like that. Can you elaborate on that and change it and go back and forth, kind of
Yeah.
thing? Right.
That's the typical thing. In general, you want to work from the outside in. So you do very general ideas in the beginning, and you get more feedback from the director or producer whoever is in charge of the music, and you gradually fine tune those ideas. And so by the end of the process, you're making hopefully very small changes as you get towards the end.
Gotcha. Have you been in a situation where, I don't know, the producer is on your right and the director on the left, and people are screaming at you and say, don't listen to the producer. I'm directing the movie, it's my movie, and the other guy say, no, I put the money, do what I'm telling you, and don't listen to the director and so on. Is it like that, or?
Yeah, I have been in that situation before. So you have to ask, like, who's contractually, who do you have to listen to? Like, who's paying you?
Yeah.
So you have to listen to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's strange because I've been there.
Yeah, I imagine that is complicated for you. Another great movie, The Black Phone from 2022. Of course, that movie is well known because I think they end up they have a budget like $20 million, and I think they have earned around over 160 million. So that that's unbelievable. Good for them, man. Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a film that really surprised me as well. But
Right.
Blumhouse, I mean, they are a money machine, that company. I mean, they know how to make successful genre movies. They
Yeah.
have the formula. They know what they're doing. So they know if a film has a $20 million budget, they know they're going to make money. I don't imagine Blumhouse has made any films that have actually lost money, which is incredibly rare in this.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's crazy. I think they probably look at it like this. If a film doesn't make 5 times their budget, that's a failure for them.
Wow. Yeah. Because I have seen so many movies that I like it, and then they flop. Somebody's losing, I don't know, $50 million or whatever. It's hard to recover from that, right? Because you can do a Blu-ray, you can do a DVD, you can do extra stuff, but that will add another $5 million at the most, right?
Well,
And
with most companies, it's like, we'll make 10 films, and as long as one of them is a blockbuster, it'll pay for those other 9.
yeah,
Blumhouse is not like that. It's like, every film has to be a success and make a lot of money. Like I said, they do
wow,
really
they really have the formula down to do that.
totally do. They totally do.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. You and your wife go to a lot of movies or see a lot of documentaries at home or whatever, and then you put a total attention because you're trained to write music for film or TV series that you can help it and say, man, the movie is kind of okay, but the music is not that great, or vice versa. I like the music, but I like the music for Johnny, whatever, and then or you can put that aside and enjoy the stuff without being a critic.
No, I can do that.
Yeah,
Because I just love movies. I really love
yeah,
movies. So I found myself just enjoying the movie so much that I don't even pay attention to the score.
I
I
see.
think in certain ways, if the score is really, really working well, it just becomes part of the movie, and you just enjoy the story first and foremost,
Yeah,
and then later you might go, oh yeah, by the way, that score was really good too.
yeah, I got it. Do you? Is a particular movie that you have seen? I don't know, 10 times or more, if you don't mind asking.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a fan of watching my favorite movies a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
Like you watch the DVD, the Blu-ray every, I don't know, every 2, 3 months or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean we have our Christmas movies around here, like
Sure.
It's a Wonderful Life. We've probably seen about 30 times, and
30.
Meet
Yeah.
John Doe. We've probably seen that about 30 times too. So yeah, no, we have our favorites. A lot of people don't like to do that. They don't like to rewatch their favorite movies because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I've seen that. I don't have to see it again. But for me, I always notice new things
Yeah.
about movies. The more times I watch that, and I enjoy that process of further exploring that great story.
That's great. For me, Blade Runner, probably I have seen it, I don't
Oh
know,
yeah,
20, 30 times. I don't know.
yeah,
I
yeah. For
found
me too.
that movie was way ahead of his time.
Oh, and so influential.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of Africa was another one. And so smooth. Yeah, it's a lot of great movie. It's a particular, if you were to name, top 3 film composers that have contributed a lot to your life or were influential in your life, anyone that you would like to mention? Or
Well, definitely I mean, for me, the film composer that spoke to me the most would be Thomas Newman.
I got it right. Yeah,
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, that's number one. I don't know, probably I really like John Powell a lot. Obviously John Williams, in particular his stranger stuff like Catch Me If You Can. I thought was
Yeah.
was an absolutely brilliant score. That's probably my favorite score of his is that movie.
Yeah.
Lately, within more genre movies, I really like a young composer by the name of Ariel Marks. Do you know her?
No, I wanted to. No, no.
Yeah, you should check her out. I mean, she's doing really interesting stuff. And the kind of stuff that it's like ear candy. You go, wow, I've never heard that sound before. So yeah, I really like her.
Yeah. What kind of movie I need to write it down. Yeah. 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 Can you repeat the name again, if you don't mind? Yeah.
So it's Ariel Marks. So it's Ariel
Yeah.
Marks and Karl Marx.
Yeah. 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 Wow. I need to check it. No, I don't. I know a lot of them, but don't know everything. Um, Another movie that I like, and I like the music, first Omen from 2024.
Yep.
What memories do you have for writing that one?
Oh yeah, that was kind of a difficult score in a lot of ways. Like one thing that goes on, and I've started to see this more and more with younger directors, because he was a first timer. I mean, she was great, but at first it'll come with people that are first timers, is that they often don't know the process of working with a composer, and so they wind up working with the music editor,
Yeah.
and changing the music, getting the music editor to make changes and stuff like that. So what wound up happening is there was no spotting session, where you sit down, watch the movie together, and decide where the music is going to go, and really talk about the whole music concept. That process never happened, and again, because of the editing process that sort of keeps going on forever. That was another reason why the director was working with the music editor, and that's sort of a common thing. But at the studio was a great lady. Like she was the music supervisor for the movie, and we were having a lot of problems with the music. And she said, "Look, you got to get back to basics. You have to get into the same room with the director, and you have to spot the movie. Just like I've always been trained to do." So we got together. I went to Los Angeles, and we had a proper. It was like a 10-hour spotting session of the movie, and it all came together. We both figured out exactly what this score should be, and I wrote that, and she was totally delighted. I was delighted. The movie did well. I'm proud of the work I did, and she's very proud of the work that she did, and she really loved the music. So it was really a lesson in sticking to the tradition of music production. It's a tradition for a good reason, because it works, and it can create better scores, rather than it being sort of random. Just throw something at it and see what works, kind of approach. So yeah, no, we both learned a lot from that film. It was a great experience in the end.
Got you. Thank you. Um, in your life, looking back, you have done a lot of stuff. Is anyone in particular the top two or top three that you say, "Man, this is the best I ever done"? Whether the movie did great or did terrible, is something that, man, I couldn't have done better, like The Witch or this or that. Or any particular one or two that you say, man, that's the best I could have done for that particular movie. I mean, I give it everything. I wouldn't change it on.
Yeah, I would say probably the witches
Yeah,
up there.
yeah,
That was an unusual process, because the director, Rob Eggers, he's a very single-minded guy, and he knows exactly what he wants, not
yeah,
just with music, but for absolutely every part of the production. So I was like he pretty much already heard the score in his head, before I started to write. But in a way, that's not good for a composer who might have their own creative vision. But I was definitely following his creative vision. But the good part of that is that, he took me in directions I would never have gone in, and wrote something that I would not have typically have written, and the audience really responded to that. So that was good, because it was a real sort of a kick in the ass, in a certain way, to get out of the mold that I had developed, and was really thinking in new ways, and it was because of him.
I got you. Got you. Oh, that's great. That's great. Do you like to? It's easier somebody send you a script, and I say, write the movie, and can you in your head envision how the movie is going to be based on the script? You've never seen the movie, of course. You only have the script versus, well, the movie is kind of halfway or 70% done, and then the director, they use a temporary score, and they say, now, okay, now I need to find now a film composer to write my music. You prefer one way or another? One is more risky to another? What's your take on that?
I think well, ideally for a composer is the old school way,
Yeah.
where it's you're given a blank piece of canvas to paint on. But these days, most of it's sort of paint by numbers
Yeah.
these ways, with the temporary score that they edit. So you're always in the position nowadays of being presented with a temp score, and it's like, what do you think? Do you want to change the temp score maybe a little bit? that
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And in the case of The Witch, I think that was a good thing, because, like I said, it took me in new directions. But often it's a bad thing, because you're never going to get, like, if you're hiring a composer that has a voice and their own sound, that's going to be hard to get if you've already decided what you want the music to be. It's an analogy for that is, if you hire a DOP for a movie, and you bring them on set, and you've already set up the lights, you've already completely lit the scene, and you invite them on set and say, okay, you're the DOP, so get to work. It's not a good way to work, because you want that DOP to just look at the blank canvas and think about, they're the expert, right? The DOP is the expert on lighting, so you want them to put their best foot forward and give them the best work they can possibly do. But if they've already lit the scene, or that canvas is a paint by numbers thing, then you're never going to get the best of the expert, whether it's composer, editor, DOP, whatever. You're never going to get the best of that creative person. You're going to get the second best.
Gotcha. I was looking in your background that you have done, well, of course, feature-length dramas, and then television miniseries, game, and documentaries. If anyone, obviously, the level of effort is different, and the money is different, I imagine. But are you indifferent or ambivalent to what comes your way, or you prefer to concentrate in, feature film, because, I don't know, you will have more time to work on it, as opposed to a TV series, or as opposed to a Netflix documentary, whatever, or you kind of work in whatever comes your way?
I just like good stories.
The stories.
I just want to do good work, and so I really don't care what it is. If a series came my way and I thought, this is like, it's Breaking Bad, can you do this? I go, yes, I will do this, because I love it. And if the film is not that, I mean, my first love is movies. But if the film has a good story, I want to do it. If it doesn't have a good story, then I don't want to do it.
Got it. And also, the money, as I said before, it might be better for others. You have received so many awards, man. the Gemini Award, the Genie Award, and so on and so forth. Anyone in particular that you say, man, that was very important to me because allowed me to do X, Y, Z, or go into another direction, or so forth. Anyone in particular that you think, well, was that make a big difference in my life, money wise, fame wise, upcoming new work or whatever?
Yeah, not really. I don't think the awards have really done that much because there's certain awards that I think matter.
Yeah,
Like if you win an Oscar, that's gonna
yeah,
make a big difference in your career, I would think, as a composer.
yeah.
But a lot of the awards that I have, most are Canadian awards, where most of the work I do is from the U.S. or Europe, so that it doesn't really help career wise. I think that
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
It's more about your reputation, and I think I have heard this that more and more. Let's say from my agent. My agent told me this the other day that if he's pitching me for a particular film, often the producer will say, okay, what's he been nominated for lately?
I
Uh,
see.
so it does. It is a thing. I
Uh,
think probably especially in the U.S. And I think the reason for that is uh, for when people hire the composer or any other key creative in a film, they have to be able to sell that to the powers that be. So if they hire Mark Korven for a film, and the powers that be go, I don't know this Mark Korven guy. Well, what has he done? What awards has he done? They have to be able to go, oh, he was nominated for this. So the powers that be can go, oh, okay, I guess he's okay then. Well, we'll hire him. It's that sort of a
yeah,
situation. So it's a little bit weird for me that awards can have that kind of impact
yeah,
on your work. Because ideally you want the work to speak for itself, but I guess that's the state of the business
yeah.
nowadays.
Based on that argument, I imagine that a guy like, I don't know, Hans Zimmer wouldn't have any problem getting a new film next week or the next year or whatever,
I don't think
right?
he's hurting. No,
Huh?
I
Yeah,
don't think he's hurting. No.
yeah, and he get paid a lot of money, right? Yeah, because the budgets are, uh, other film composers I interviewed a couple of weeks ago and say the budget are coming down, coming down. You used to get paid X number of dollars, now is half of that, and it's tough because then they spend more money in the music, then they wouldn't hire a particular actor or actress, or they wouldn't extend the movie because for budget constraint and so forth. And it's a tough business that you are into, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think for a composer, uh, the most annoying part
yeah,
of for a composer is when they have a certain amount of money for the score.
yeah,
So that's the emotional subtext core of a lot of the emotion in the film can be the score. It's very, very important.
yeah,
Uh, and then they'll license one track that might be like 1 minute long, and they're paying like 3 times the amount that they're paying the composer for the entire score. I remember working on I was working on a series, and I was paid a certain amount of money for the entire series, and they had licensed a track that was like it was about 15 seconds, and it was fairly generic. It was somebody pulls up in a car, but they wanted this track in the series, and I think that was about half the entire music budget for the film was just on this 12-second licensed song.
wow,
So that can be really really annoying for a composer.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Wow,
Yeah,
wow. Yeah. For a particular, yeah, gotcha. You I noticed in your web cite that you have done several live performance dates, and from Brooklyn in 2017, and to the last one I saw, Brooklyn, New York as well, live stream in July 11, 2020. Do you like doing that? You feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff? Is
Oh,
anything
yeah.
coming
Oh,
your
yeah.
way?
Well, yeah, that was the apprehension engine stuff.
Oh yeah.
So the first gig I did was in the Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn at night.
Oh man, at midnight, right?
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was so cool, and the graveyard was filled with the audience. They would wander through the graveyard, which is actually a beautiful graveyard. It looks amazing at
Yeah.
night. But they were in their costumes and stuff like that, and I was playing my weird apprehension engine music. It was just a fantastic experience. I loved it.
Yeah. Wow. During probably Halloween or something, that midnight.
Well, I was a little bit nervous when they first told me about what the gig was, because
Yeah.
they said, basically, we're going to hire you to bring in your apprehension engine and play in a mausoleum at midnight in the cemetery. so so I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, but it wasn't the case. The mausoleum was actually
Yeah.
quite a large, beautiful, open building,
Yeah.
and the audience would come through and stuff like that. So it wasn't really scary or anything like that. But I was a
Yeah.
little bit nervous at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they pay you well, because you it's psychological factor there doing something like that as well.
Yeah, no, I mean the money wasn't huge, but that's not why I did it. I thought I did it just because it was so fun. Actually, for another gig that I wound up not doing, it was the same company, and it was for the Lighthouse. They wanted me to play on a piece of rock. I think in the middle of, the East River or something, off Manhattan. Um, yeah, it was by this lighthouse, and the audience would take boats, and they would circle the lighthouse that was, like I said, was on this piece of rock, and I would be there with my apprehension engine, with the river probably being quite stormy, and that. But unfortunately, I got quite sick at that time, so I couldn't do it. But yeah, no, there's been some weird gigs, Claudio.
Yeah. Any new gigs coming? Any live event that you have
No,
allowed
actually,
for 2026?
no, actually, COVID kind of killed all that. Once COVID hit, that was it for all that live performance, because the apprehension engine was a really popular thing that was sort of all over certain kinds of media. That was very well known, so it was a real a well known hit, really, within that weird music field. And then COVID hit, and that sort of put an end to
Yeah.
all that momentum, actually.
I hope you have that patented, right? So anybody out there can recreate the same thing, or
No, it's not patented. We didn't patent it because it's very hard to do with every country in the world. And the other reason why we didn't copyright it in any way, because we stole a lot of those ideas. We took
okay.
ideas from what other people were doing, and
Yeah.
I added my own ideas. So hats off to other people that have experimented with things like that. So it was sort of a Frankenstein of other ideas, and my
Okay.
ideas and Tony's ideas all put together in one box. So it didn't feel right to just want to put your copywritten name on it. It just didn't feel like the right to do. And the other thing is, it was really, that box was really about getting people to build their own things and do it in their own way, and be more experimental with music, which it did do, because like if you go online, for example, on Facebook, there's the Apprehension Engine Builders group, and there's about 600 people that are building their own sort of apprehension engines.
Wow.
Uh, and some of them are just sort of a copy of what we did, and some of them are really doing their own thing with it, and they're adding to it and furthering the experimentation, which is very rewarding. It's so great to be influential on getting people to create their own things and be more experimental.
I'm happy you say that. Good for you, but what are you working nowadays? It's any on a high level, anything you can. Are you working a couple of new movies? Are you working new television series? Or
Yeah, well, I'm working on a Netflix series that I can't name.
Sure.
And actually, the name is actually untitled right now. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, untitled movie, untitled series.
Yeah, it's an untitled series, and also I'm working on a movie, a thriller movie, and I'm doing the second season of another series. And let's see what else. Oh, and I'm doing this really cool new media thing, like it's like a VR thing. It's a horror thing, and that's going to be really cool. Yeah, to be involved with. It's a real cutting edge sort of experimental thing. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But again, I can't name any of these things. I'm sorry.
Sure. So, any particular director or I don't know that you wish you have the opportunity to work with, or?
Oh well, I mean, I think everyone wants to work with Steven Spielberg, so I see. That would be the guy for me.
Yeah, and yeah, man, that's his movies are great as well. Yeah. And he's the man. Feel free to mention where the viewer and the listener of this podcast can buy your music. Feel free to mention your website where hopefully people can get a hold of you and send work your way and so on and so forth.
Sure.
Feel free to mention that to your website. Right?
Yeah. No, so my website would be www.markkorven.com.
Yep.
And there's all, and then on Spotify, there's all my music is up there, and also I have a YouTube channel called Indie Filmmaker.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see apprehension engine videos and other stuff that I've worked on over the years. And I'm also sort of a short filmmaker too. So there's some of my short films are up there as well.
Really? Oh, all right. I need to check them out. Oh, I didn't know that. All right. And Mark, thank you very much. It was very nice talking to you. You're doing great, and you have written beautiful music and great music for a lot of great movies. And so good luck to you. And of course, you will do a follow-up interview down the road. And if there is anything else I can do to help you out to promote your upcoming film or TV series or whatever, happy to help out, man.
Oh, thank you, Claudio. Claudio, that was a real pleasure talking with you today.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Take it easy, man.
Okay, bye-bye.